know where the treats at.
Is this the passing of the torch, right? Is this what this signifies?
It comes down to that front office and what they feel is most important.
The champ is here. We've touched down from a higher plane. Why you landed here?
We always look forward to that week because it was always intense.
You know that we ain't coming back. We about to.
The man, the myth, the legend, Dante Hall. My favorite player growing up was Dante Hall. I love you guys in the show, but Dante was my guy.
Get to dashing because you done on the warfield.
This episode of Chief Concerns is brought to you by BetOnline.AG. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports, contests, and events with first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports information, from live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to join today and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BLEAV50, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Chief Concerns. I'm Marcus Dash here with legendary Chiefs tight end Jason Dunn. JD, couple days before Christmas, man. How you doing?
Yes, it is. I'm doing well, man. It's I'm very thankful and blessed. Christmas is here. Time for giving. Okay, not receiving. Everybody want to receive presents. Like time for giving. Let's give. Let's give to the unfortunate, the misfortunate. Let's give out more than we can. And so we're going to give y'all a present. This is us giving y'all a little bit taste of the Chiefs Kingdom, some of the Chiefs concerns to y'all right now coming at you. So I hope y'all enjoy this segment. We're going to have some very, very wonderful, great voices that's in the Chiefs Kingdom with these ladies called the Kingdom's Queens. The Kingdom's Queens, right? With Lexi and Jody and Chrissy, and they do a tremendous job. Glad to have them on the show. Can't wait to talk to them because they are going to be absolutely lights out with the analysis, their takes. I mean, they do a wonderful job. If they hadn't had a chance to go check them out, please do. Please do. Because they do a tremendous job and a great thing for the kingdom. So, but yeah, man. Hey, other than that, man, I'm ready for some football on Sunday and Saturday. So some things will be happening Saturday. So it's time. So we gonna get ready. This is gonna be a good week. I think this week right here is gonna say a lot about the Chiefs, how you set things up going into the playoffs. And I think these guys are ready for it, man. There's been a lot of things been being said around Twitter and all these things, crazy things been happening, and people robbing banks and then whoop-suits and kickers are doing crazy, going at it, and the Saunders is going. So it's smorgasbord of craziness right now in the Chiefs Kingdom. So, hey, man, let's just Yuletide cheer, right? Yuletide cheer. Let's have a good time.
Well, it's funny too because you have. I mean, just in the Dustin Colquitt, Tommy Townsend kind of feud, but there's Colquitt has said a little bit of stuff. Call him a smart aleck on the radio station. He said they brought him back so he could teach Tommy Townsend a little bit about holding and stuff. And he said I think a lot of the stuff that kind of went in one year, went out the other year with Tommy. That's what Colquitt said. It was funny. Yeah, that's what he said. He called him a smart aleck. He said Tommy's a good punter, but he's a bit of a smart aleck. I'm loosely quoting it, but that word smart aleck was said. He said it brought him back a couple years ago to help him out, kind of with the holding aspect of things. And he said he was a bit of a smart aleck, kind of what you tell him kind of goes in one ear, out the other ear.
DC said this.
Yeah,
that's the Colquitt. Look, that's my guy. I played with DC. Yeah. But he's straight up and down, like 6 o'clock. He really is. Yeah. So I can't. He said that. He said he's sort of a smart aleck. Wow.
He said, "quote smart aleck" on the radio station. Yeah.
Jeez. Okay.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know it got that deep. Wow.
Yeah.
Some things out there.
Well, it's funny too because you have you see punters and kickers feuding. It's kind of funny, right? Like they're punters and kickers. We laugh at that.
Yeah, it's like brothers. You know what I'm saying? You're like, what y'all fighting about?
Yeah,
here it is.
Well, and so I think 'cause he said it came to a point for him where he was tired of the slander that Butker, he said, was unfair slander that Butker was getting. So that's why he said what he said about Tommy's not holding it properly and all that stuff. But it also comes out too that apparently Butker is the godfather of some of Colquitt's kids. So it kind of makes sense. Yeah, I'm sure he's defending him. I'm sure he sees some stuff with Tommy Townsend's holds, but it's also, I get that is family that you are that people are trashing. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not. So it all kind of makes sense a little bit, right?
Well, yeah, but I would expect for you to take care of your boy. But look, but DC, like I said, man, DC's a good dude all the way around. He's going to be truthful. I don't think it takes any slant. I think he's going to have some objectivity about this thing, right? Because he's played the game. Like, there's no reason to say, well, look, I'm Butker's, he's godfather, my whatever, right? Whatever he is, I'm just going to get him. No, I think he's giving you a good indication about some of the things that's going on in the transition. And so, me being a former special teams coach, I've seen that. I know how that transition goes. And I started looking at this a little bit more like, wow, the tilt of the ball, maybe some of the laces and stuff. Maybe there's some validity in this, right? Yeah. I don't know as far as like the smart aleck stuff. That's a little bit different when you start saying that, right? Because it's like, oh, geez, that's a little bit more personal, saying that. Well, for guys not willing to learn, I wouldn't say smart aleck, but maybe how people say, man, you could have came to me instead of going out here saying it, in the rest of the world. Yeah. But if he's like, well, it don't matter if I say it to you. You're not listening to me anyway, right? That's the smart aleckness I'm talking about. You know what I mean? So hopefully, man, they'll get all this stuff patched up. If not, Townsend gonna start doing Butker like Lucy used to do Charlie Brown. Remember Charlie?
Oh man,
I'd get you cut. But Townsend made the Pro Bowl, right? Is it the Pro Bowl? Yeah. So you're talking about 7 Pro Bowl players. We could talk at and name the guys, right? Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, of course, Thuney, Creed, Orlando Brown, and Chris Jones, right? So that's the 7, correct? I got the 7 right? Oh, Townsend. I'm sorry. Townsend, right. I said, him, so he was included. Yeah. But, congratulations to those guys. Hats off to it. I know people are like, hey, man, you got 7 and made it.
Yeah, people are upset that Orlando Brown got it. They don't think it's justified. And they also say, too, him getting the Pro Bowl also adds to him saying, oh, you better give me that money at the end of the year. I made the Pro Bowl. So it's like, I still want to ask for that money that I asked for at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
It feels more justified now to ask for that price, that price tag. But
right. And, teams like, no, we're not going to do that. It ain't going to be based off programs. It could be just based off of a popularity, a name that's known. Argue for it against. I mean, that's where it is right now, right? Yeah. So, hey, congratulations to him for making it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Congratulations. That's another award he could, hang his hat on. Yeah. But I think he's had his spots. He's had some bright spots, and he's had some spots that hadn't been so great, right? Let's just be honest here.
His PFF grades. I mean, I know a lot of people love the PFF stuff. His PFF grades aren't that bad. I mean, if you look at the PFF grades, and then you also look, yes, people want to highlight that I think he's tied for the league leading with the 43 pressures. Right. But like we talked about before, context is everything. We pass the ball more than the average team does, so it's like there's a reason why he's got 43 pressures. I mean, that's because we pass the ball more than everybody. Yeah,
Patrick retreats a little bit further than everybody else, right? Yeah, and he breaks out. So. Yeah. If he steps up in the pocket, is it solid? Is some of those pressures taken away? Yeah, maybe. So I get it. But that's Pro Bowl is what it is. That's how it goes.
And more money for a lot of these guys too, because I mean, some of these guys have that in their contract. If they make the Pro Bowl, they get a little incentive base. Good for these guys to make money off these millionaire and billionaire owners. So like that's not our money. I that's one thing I can really get annoyed with fans who like, well, we're not gonna pay them that. It's like they get mad about it. It's like, well, at the end of the day, it's not your money. It's not my money. We can have an opinion on it, but like, I'm not gonna freaking be butthurt and not be able to sleep about it. But like, it's not my money. It's the owner's money, and you know what? Give the players the money. Don't these guys are set generationally for many, many years. Let's let the players get some of this money. Okay, a $500,000 incentive on a Pro Bowl. It's not going to not the end of the world for us.
No, man. And then like I said, man, be happy for a guy. Be happy for somebody who's making it, who's making some money. It's good.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. And I just, for the performance overall, 11-3, everything hasn't been as great as you look at it. But look, these guys have been doing a good job. It's 11-3, 7 division titles. Come on, man. So we got to put things in perspective. But I think this week, and we'll talk about this week coming in with the Seattle Seahawks, is going to be a very great test for us to say, look, we're getting ready for this playoff run. And so from this point on, we're building on what we should be building on, getting ready into it. So you got to have momentum going into the playoffs. Yeah. And I think you start here with Seattle.
Yeah. And that's a great way to start off with our first segment. So after in our post-game show on Sunday, you made a comment about like our guys kind of needing the extra motivation to stay up for games, even when you are playing against an inferior opponent. So that's where my question kind of goes here. So this weekend, the desperation for the first round bye will be tested, right? So we got, there's certain different circumstances for every team. So like we have to continue to win for the potential of getting that bye week, right? So in the case Buffalo Bills slip up, they have 3 games left. They got Bears this weekend. They have Bengals next weekend, and they have Patriots in the season. So they don't really have it. Bears this weekend. Man. It's tough.
It's a tough road. Yes.
Yeah. And I believe they're going to Chicago too for that game. And Chicago, I think they've lost like a few games in a row, but like they still battle in the game. They gave Philly a good run for it last week.
Yes.
So we got that. So we have to continue to win in order to stay on the Bills' ass. And if they do slip up, then we get that first seed because we won. But then you would play Seattle this weekend, a team on a different kind of circumstance where, like, we have the luxury. We're already in the playoffs, so we want a first round bye. So we're in the first class, of the airplane right now. We just want to get some more comps from the airline. Seattle, they need to win to stay in the playoffs to kind of keep their playoff hopes alive. So my question to you is, you played in the NFL for a long time, so you played in a variety of different spots. Playing for a bye, get into the playoffs. And so for my question is, since we had a kind of a conversation about staying up for games, how hard? Which of these, I guess, these 3 situations, you're playing to keep the bye, you're playing to get a chance to get the bye if that team slips up, or you're playing to get into the playoffs and keep alive. Which one of these situations is harder for a player to kind of stay up for each week?
I know you use the word desperation when they say it's the desperation of it. But I think maybe the hardest thing is keeping the bye. I think the Bills' road, trying to keep the bye, is going to be a hard one for them, right? Because they understand what's at stake. And so to them, they know they can't make a mistake, in any of these games. There's 3 tough games: Chicago, Patriots, and you said
it's Cincy, then Patriots.
Yeah, so Cincy and Bengals. So those are 3 tough games. 3 tough games. And so the Chiefs really have the easy road here. But I think the Chiefs, because what it has been for the past 3 weeks, you're playing teams that really didn't have anything to play for. You just kind of like, these guys are kind of where they're at. Well, we didn't quite see the energy maybe playing against like the Bengals like we should have. So this right here, and because of all the craziness that's going around and out here and everywhere in Chiefs Kingdom, right? Andy, Spags, the enemy, they got to let those guys know what is at stake, okay? And we have to have everything right from this point on to get into the playoffs with momentum, okay? So it's like this. If we play good these next 3 games, we could be rewarded to having that first round bye, okay? You get that first seed, first round bye. You can relax, get your game plan together like what you need to, so you get ready for this team. And I think sometimes they just might need that break. They need this. You're playing for a break is what you're actually looking for. You're looking for guys to get back in that break, okay? And so you got a couple bumps and bruises, getting guys back. You want to get your game plan together like you want to. They're going to be pushing for this. So it's the easier road than it is trying to keep the bye. But also, too, it's going to be kind of difficult because you got to look at this other team lose, and you're waiting for that, right? That's always a tough spot. I remember. I forgot what year it was. A couple of years we had to sit there and look, are we going to get in? Are we going to get in? Because we're looking at games, and you hate to be based on somebody else's destiny, if they win or not, right? Your destiny be based on what somebody else does or what doesn't do. And it's always tough. It's always tough. But as long as you take care of your business, then you just hope everything works out the way that you want it to work out. And if they don't, let's just say the Bills, win the last 3 and then you decide, you have to play, fine. No problem. You go in with great momentum into the playoffs and you're ready. But like I said before, the coaches and the players got to understand what's at stake. And Seattle is one of those that's trying to get into the playoffs. They know that. And so they're going to come here to win. They have to win. You're playing against a desperate team. They're coming in to say, hey, look, we're going to bloody your nose. We got to beat the Chiefs. Who's better to do it than to beat the Chiefs out here, who we just lost to San Fran by 8 points last week? So, hey, we're ready. Gino's in. He's in a Pro Bowl, right? So he's out there with his chest out. It's going to be, they're going to be ready. Pete's going to have them ready. Now, they're going to be doing without, one of the Kansas City's best and the finest in Lockett. So that's the only thing. Wanted to see him play, but man, he's going to be out that game. So that's going to hurt him. It's going to hurt him a bit. But I think it's going to be more of a running game this week. And so our defense got to show up, man. They've been getting a lot of flack these past few weeks. They have to show up this game. No doubt about it. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch in the cold weather out in Kansas City.
So I want to ask, since we're talking about playoffs, and trying to make the playoffs and stuff, and having a look at that 06 playoffs. How much do you remember that year where you guys we had to? It was that New Year's day where it was 3 teams we needed to lose to get in.
3 teams that needed, yes. It was when you telling, and that's what I'm talking about. Like looking at the screen, like what's the score of the game? And, where's everybody at? That is a miserable place to be. It really is. And so I remember that year, like in the locker room, I forgot what game we were watching, but we were watching it on TV and it was like, okay, there's the one.
It was the Broncos was the last game that we needed to lose, right? We needed them to lose, right? That was the last team.
Yes. So that in itself, man, that's torture. I mean, it is, so.
So I always wondered about that day specifically. I imagine, I remember my brother and I was like still a kid. So my brother was getting ready to go out for New Year's and stuff. So he was getting dressed and getting ready to go. He was going to some big ticketed thing that night. But I remember he could come back in the living room and see what was going on with the Broncos game. Because I believe that was the last game that we needed because everything else had come to fruition. It was the last one. And I remember he so happy and so excited. And I was like, I had to imagine, were you guys together watching that game? Because I imagine that when that happened, Broncos lost and we were making the playoffs because of that. Was it like, when they show a team like a March Madness, like, this team's gonna be a 9th seed and they didn't think they were gonna get into the tournament and they all erupt together. Well, that's how I imagined it to be for you guys. But how if you remember it, how was the reaction amongst the team when you guys made the playoffs that year?
You know what? I'm trying to think who we had. What was the last game that we were playing? Because I remember. I think we were on the road. If I'm not mistaken.
Let me see. The last game of that year, we played Jacksonville 35-30, and it looks like it was at home.
Okay. So, I remember maybe that week, and maybe even the week before, I think matter of fact, I remember when we played Oakland at Oakland. Okay, it was 8:00 game because I think even that week before that we were still waiting for some losses. Like because the guys is getting in. So I remember looking up at TV and everybody's just kind of halfway ready, but we're looking at the screen. Because 8:00 game. We're watching everybody else. So we were just kind of sitting around watching these other guys play.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of those things. Like it's always tough. And then like Jacksonville, like when you're sitting there, you just wait for like the news to get in. You know what I mean? It's always, like I said, it's tough. I remember some guys was together, and I don't know how it came out that the Chiefs were in. But I know, because, I'm hanging with, my boys, tight ends, fullbacks, some of the offensive guys, we all just, sitting around like, okay, oh, shoot, we now we got to take care of business.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what you were looking for. But it's always tough, man. It's always tough. You hate to be, basically, waiting to see if somebody else wins or loses, and that's your deciding your fate.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, man, I remember that. I do remember that. And it was the 2 weeks was kind of grueling. It was crazy. It's crazy.
Looking at Wikipedia, it says so we needed a loss by Tennessee, and we needed a loss from Cincinnati and Denver. Tennessee lost, and you had 2 overtime losses from Cincinnati and Denver. Both those games went down the wire.
Yes. I remember the OT. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was a tough part. That was a tough one.
Unreal, man.
Yeah, you need everything to happen. I mean, the stars had to line up just perfectly, right, for you to get in. That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. Yeah, I mean, just being a part of that, like, yeah, a 9-7 team. Obviously, the season didn't go as what you hoped, but you still, at the end of the day, every team wants to make the playoffs. All you need is that chance to get into. Obviously, we lost the Colts the first round, but still, I mean, like that. I mean, that had been an awesome thing to kind of rally around at the end of the year to make the playoffs.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, man, that was tough, man. You got to take care of business because I remember I'm looking at the last 3 games. Yeah, San Diego that we lost to, right? We beat Oakland, and then we beat Jacksonville because we knew we had to take care of business. I was lost to Baltimore, we lost to San Diego, and it's like, dang, God, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, 2 AFC games we lost to, and then we had to win the last 2. So yeah, man, it's tough.
Yeah. No, I mean, but those are the years, though. You know, I think people always like look to like the obviously early 2000s, right? You know, the Priest and the LJ years and stuff, and obviously, well, LJ was our guy that year. But like people look at the high octane offense we had in the early 2000s, right? But like that 06 team, man, like there was fight in that squad, dude. Like that was a fun team. It was gritty. It wasn't pretty, but like it was fun, man.
Had a fun team, man. We really did, no doubt about it.
Because not many teams can say, you know, that like at the end of the season came, week 17, they needed 3 losses from a team to get into the playoffs. Usually when you see those type of playoff scenarios, it's the last thing like the TV guy even mentions because, they need this, and this to happen. It's not going to happen, but, keep an eye on that. But, man, it ended up happening, man. I mean, I don't know what the odds were for that, but I can't imagine it was high.
Dude, I'm wondering, I think, what's the name of that year? If I'm not mistaken, I might have missed that playoff game. I was hurt.
You missed that game, oh.
I did. My back, and they put me on IR. That's a whole different story right there. That was because I was upset because they put me on. I'm like, what? Well, I've been playing the whole season with a bad back, you know? And it was like, yeah, man, I had an issue with because the communication I felt like wasn't respectful. And kind of let me know because it wasn't just me and I think Cal Turley, we both had got placed on IR.
Huh.
That's right. And yeah, that was upsetting. And but I remember Herm saying, I was at the meeting. He's like, some of y'all guys are sitting over here playing. We got a guy like Jason Dunn who's been putting his time and effort in who would die to play in this game. And I was just like, yeah, you know what I mean? It was true, man. I was so upset I couldn't play in that game. Pretty sure that was the year they put me on iron at the end of the season. I didn't even know it. Adam, what's the name of it? Ty, what's his name?
Teicher.
Adam Teicher.
That's how you found out?
Yes. We were on
oh my God.
We were on an elevator together. We were riding down. And he was like, so what do you think about being put on IR? And I'm like, what? And he was like, oh, man. He said, you know? I said, no. Like, what do you? Yeah, man.
That's wild.
I'm hot. You talking about hot. I mean, I was a tornado in the locker room at that moment. You know what I mean? I was upset. But that's another story for another time.
All right, so next up, we have a really special segment. So we're going to bring on the royalty of the Chiefs Kingdom, the ladies from the Kingdom's Queens podcast, which can be found anywhere you get your podcast, so Apple, Spotify, YouTube, all that good stuff. The Queens are going to be joining us to discuss their concerns with the team after the close Texans win and as we approach the playoffs. So we're going to be bringing on Jody, Lexi, and Chrissy. So here they come.
I'm so excited to have you all on. I'm telling you, I've actually I've enjoyed looking at your podcast. I think it's very funny. One night I was just sitting over there, just going back, and I love y'all banter, how y'all have with each other, how y'all interact. And I tell you what, y'all do an amazing show, absolutely amazing show. And also too, I feel like your takes that you have on it is it's a very straightforward, but a way that y'all say it is a lot better than a whole lot of other people say it. Let me put it that way. So y'all show a lot of grace to a lot of the guys out here, but y'all really firm in what y'all saying too. And spot on, we say that. So I follow each and every one of y'all. I'm glad to have you all on as much as Marcus is right now. But thank you all for showing up tonight. But hats off to the queens.
Absolutely. We appreciate it. We appreciate it so much. I appreciate the compliment for sure. So thank you. And we're excited to be here.
100%.
Yeah.
We love what you guys do too. You guys have a great thing going here. So
Yeah. I was telling Lex, I was like, every time I hear Jason talk, I just want to run through a brick wall. Like I just get up.
I know. I'm like, this guy they just get it. So we love it.
Well, I'm glad y'all say that, because that's how I want my players to feel. And sometimes I come off and I get so amped in the moment that I can't just help it. I mean, I'm a creature of habit, and sometimes just come out of me. That's the coach, that's the player that's coming out here on the screen, and I try to be as organic as possible when I'm talking out here. So I try to get away from all the other craziness. I'm just like, listen, this is my perspective.
That's what we try to do too. There's a lot of craziness here in the Chiefs Kingdom. So we just try to keep it real. We try to keep it positive, but also realistic at the same time. So we love our guys. We love what they do. But you got to take the criticism here and there, but then, yeah, we love it. It's a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's part of it though, right? I mean, part of it is, you're going to have some criticism no matter where you at, what you do.
Yeah.
Be somebody going to say something, right? That's the way I feel about it. I mean, and which is fine. It's expected. And right now, I think the crazy part is, like, when I was playing, of course we didn't have Twitter. We had, papers. I think they were just starting, all the Facebook, the Twitter was just kind of coming out at that moment, but now how the guys are just engaging with the fans out here, man, it could get messy.
I know.
Oh my God.
It's not good. You got to keep business and personal separate.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, and that's tough to do, because you have some people just kind of just trying to find that little where I can pick you apart at, right? Just to get you to react. So
yeah. So my day job, I'm a photographer, so I hear all kinds of criticism all the time. So I'm used to, I'm used to it. So we all take it here and there, right? So.
Right.
Yeah, JD, did you since you bring that up with Twitter, did you get a chance to see the Colin Saunders interaction with the fans this morning and today?
I saw a little bit of it, just a little teeny tiny bit. So did he have like a whole segment of things, or I just seen a couple of things? So
yeah, he was responding to a lot of different fans' criticism, and he was actually going back and forth with a lot of people, and he was calling out some people. It was pretty comical actually. There's one thing though that I wanted to ask you about that he brought up, and you being a former athlete, yet you weren't really around during the Twitter age. It's obviously grown since you retired, but he did say this one tweet which I saw. It was he goes, "Nah, but for real, what's y'all beef with athletes being on Twitter? LOL. I'm starting to see why LeBron was going hard with the whole shut up and dribble thing. I put my dicky pants on one leg at a time, just like y'all. I'm a normal guy. I just want to enjoy the app like you guys." What do you think about that?
No, look, I agree. I do. I think, part of it is when somebody's criticizing your play and you out there, you're working as hard as you can. I mean, you're giving it your all. And I think sometimes fans don't realize how much time and work that you're putting in every single day to come out there just to play on Sunday. And I'm telling you, I'm talking about the pain and the aches and the early mornings to get to the training room, just to get your knees feeling right. And so the difference between, I say us and regular people, right, is that when we get hurt, they're trying to get you back on the field as fast as possible. So they don't care if you have the flu. They don't care if you're sick with. They don't really care about those things, right? I remember one time I was sick. I think I had a flu. They was like, "Well, come on in this morning, man." I'm like, "Man, I got the flu." I barely got out of bed. And I lived up north by the airport. and I drove about 30. It's usually about a 35-minute drive. It took me about an hour and a half to get there. When I'm telling you, I had no energy getting there. But as soon as I got there, they pumped me with fluids. They gave me antibiotics. They was trying to do everything to kind of get me back on the field. Like, look, we need you on Sunday. And so I think when we understand the investment that we take, taken away from the family, because most of the guys, we're at work most of the day. We're there all day. So you kiss your kids goodnight, and you don't see them in the morning. You don't take them to school, and so you leave out. When you come back home, you're halfway tired. The kids are getting ready for bed, and so it's a long day. It's a monotonous day, and sometimes when you feel like people are not appreciating what you do and telling you suck all the time, every chance you get, it could get upsetting, and it's a little crazy. Now, look, I played in Philly, so I already know how that Philly was like that, through the radio and the media. So now Twitter's got, like, I could come in your living room and right now in front of you and just start talking smack to you, right? And that's the crazy, because you can't do anything back. What can you say? I mean, everybody gonna tough talk behind the screen, right? That's the thing about it, because you're like, oh, I had this sucker in front of me. It'd be a whole different story. So I think that's what it is. I think it's what it is.
What was your all's take on Colin Saunders' kind of his Twitter rants today?
I understand why he's frustrated. I think, being a part of the Chiefs team, obviously Mahomes in the offense is going to get most of the flattery. Everyone's going to be talking about how Mahomes does this, Mahomes does that. And then when you look at, kind of sometimes I feel like our defense might feel like the redheaded stepchild, where they feel like they don't get the credit they deserve. People aren't looking at the whole picture. They're looking at, like, the defense is only going to be considered good if they have so many sacks. And they're not looking at maybe pressures or, all the passes deflected, which I actually believe we lead the NFL in passes deflected at the line. So there's just a lot of different metrics that I feel like people aren't looking at. And I can understand how that would be so incredibly frustrating as a player, especially when, you're going out there, like Jason said, you're giving it your all the things you're doing in the building, outside of the building, just to show up every day. And I can understand why he's frustrated. Now, I don't necessarily think he needs to be going back and forth with every single fan, because sometimes I feel like they focus on the negative things instead of all the positive fan interactions on Twitter. I feel like the negative ones kind of get the most limelight, unfortunately. But, I don't think that with the fan who said, like, why are you even on Twitter? And it's like, because he's a guy, let him be on Twitter. He's still a person, there's
because he's a human. Yeah. Like they want to enjoy it just as much as we do. So yeah.
Well, I feel like he had a little bit of remorse at the end. So,
yeah, he did.
A few of his last messages, he was like, "You're right, I apologize," or "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that." And so I get it. Like, he's at home sick, same, right?
Yeah.
Like, afterwards, he was like, "Okay, let me get my apologies out." Like, maybe somebody tapped him on his shoulder, like, "Okay, now wait a minute. You can't go off on everybody in Chiefs Kingdom." Like, we get it.
I mean, I'm going to be for real. I had a whole Colin Saunders appreciation post back in November because he's one of my favorite players to watch on the defense. Like, I enjoy watching him. He's a blast on the D-line. Like, he's a big dude, but he runs fast and he, like, makes those kind of quick, like, crazy little plays. And I love Colin Saunders. He was we do, like, players of the game every week on our podcast. He was one of my players of the game a few weeks ago. So I really enjoy Colin Saunders, but I understand it's like you're being compared to the guy that gets an A+ on the project every single week, right? And it's got to be frustrating because Mahomes and Kelce and those guys, they're always going to get praised by the media, and then our defense isn't quite getting the same praise. But I feel for them in that way for sure, because I think as a fan, you also know they're all putting their bodies on the line week after week for us, for our entertainment. And we appreciate that too, right? So you got to take it for what it is. And I understand his frustration, but sometimes, I'm like, I wish you would just tune out the negativity a little bit more, because there are a ton of us that do appreciate you. So,
and I think really, like, the voices that appreciate you, you expect that. And you thank everybody, you appreciate all the great voices that celebrate what you do out there on the field. But it's always like the negative ones that's always in the back of your head, in the back of your mind. And you just like, man, like, what do I have to do? And so I guess when he started pulling back a little bit, because he realized, like, I'm going too far down the rabbit hole, right?
Yeah.
Now it's like, it's like mob mentality. It's just, okay, well, one jump on you. Well, why did you say that about? It's like, okay, look, I'm just going back away from the entire conversation. Okay, look, y'all have a good day. All right, keep, celebrating the Chiefs. Keep rooting for us. I'm signing off from this conversation. And to me, it's a skill set. Because I've called when I first got on Twitter, man. I'm a nice guy. I am. I'm a big gentle giant most of the time. Till somebody frustrates me, and I'm just like, okay, what do you want to do, right? But you can see it as long as you understand what to expect. I think when you get on Twitter and don't even feed into it and just like, hey, let the negative stuff come. Don't even respond to the negative things. You don't. And it says you don't have to constantly. Kind of try to protect yourself. You don't have to always speak up when somebody's coming in and saying these different things. But let me ask y'all, okay, y'all on Twitter, what if y'all had some advice for the guys not to get caught up in that? What would it be? So help the guys out.
I think for me, it's just it's gonna come regardless. I mean, this team is 11-3. This team just won their 7th AFC West championship.
Come on.
And there's always going to be something that Chiefs fans are always going to nitpick at. I say it like I've been a fan since the 90s, right? I was sitting at Arrowhead at 2-14 and -10, okay? So the thing is we're so spoiled now because it's been so good for so long.
Yeah.
So I think, for me, it's the players just need to realize, like, you got to have that tough skin and you got to have that grit. You can't let those things personally get to you because it's going to come regardless. And at the end of the day, use it as fuel out there on the field. Like, for me, it's, if you're going to talk about me, let me go out here and show you what I can actually do, because I want to shut the commentators up. So you just can't take it personally. You got to know what's going to come. We could go to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl and they're still going to find something negative. That's all I got. Just
and I feel like
that's it.
It probably happens in every fan base, right? But it's in fan bases like these where you do have a chance at the Super Bowl every year and you really want to see the best out of your guys. And I think most of us come from a good place, right? Like we're all coming from a place of like, we know what you guys are capable of and we just want to see that. And I do think, like Jody said, like a lot of us have been there from the beginning of it where you did have a lot of losing days and now we're spoiled with the winning days. And it's like, okay, take advantage of it. Like, that's all we want to see. It doesn't come from a place of like anything malicious, anything like that. But I do think the internet grants you a place, and that's comes with the freedom of speech, right? But it grants you a place to say whatever you want to say. And you can say it to your favorite player on the team. They might happen to see your tweet. And that comes with the territory, right? And like, you might not expect them to see that tweet and then they do. And it's like, oh crap, like I might not have meant that, or I might have tweeted that in the emotion or whatever it is. And so even like over time of like, just even me being on Twitter, I'm like, I got to be more careful with what I say because I don't always mean what I say in the moment because it just comes from a place of like watching the game and like, oh my gosh, why didn't you try on that play? And then I'm like, no, I know they tried. Like, that's silly. But I think, I think players just need to remember it's all out of passion. It's all out of love. At the end of the day, we're going to ride with our team no matter what. At least the majority of us. Now there's a few bandwagons, of course, but that's with any team, right? So especially when you have Patrick Mahomes on your team, that's just going to happen. So,
I know for me, just growing up and being an athlete and playing at a high level at every sport that I played in, I was my own worst critic. So like, I didn't need everyone else telling me like, hey, you need to do this. I can't believe this is what you did with this play, et cetera, et cetera. Cause I was already thinking all of that in my head. Yeah. And I heard it from other people. It just, it eats away at you. And then things in my personal life when I became an adult, and I used to fight back all the time. And I was like, no, like you need to know how I'm feeling. This is making me upset. And what you're saying isn't fair. And what I realized it was doing is it was just digging this negativity and it was just dropping it on top of me. It's like I was getting into this hole and I had to learn to just not care about the outside noise. They don't know me. They don't know how I'm taking this information. They don't know what's going on inside my head. they may be trying to help, but they're not doing it in a way that's conducive to me. So I had to just learn to tune it out. And when I did that, and everyone, Lexi and Jody know, especially, like, I'm a very positive person. So I'm not normally the one you're going to see on Twitter that's going to be super negative. I'm always trying to spin something in a positive light. That's just how my dad raised me. He was always like glass half full. And he was my biggest coach in life. And that's probably the biggest lesson I learned from him is like, don't listen to the haters. Do what is best for you. Listen to yourself and use thoughts that are conducive to growing and to learning and becoming a better athlete or a person or whatnot. And so that's what I would recommend to these players is that like surround yourself with what is conducive to help you grow and help you live a more positive life. Like ignore everything else. It's not worth it. So
hats off to your dad for that. Look, I would have loved to have each and every one of you ladies in the huddle with me. Because I know y'all have been ready. I know y'all ride or die.
We're ready.
Yeah, and I love it. I love it. Could have loved to have you on the team. But I think those things are very important. And kind of what you were saying, and I know what ends up happening in the locker room is this. Andy and the coaches and all the guys always harp on, listen, the voices that matter are in this room, okay? Of course, your family's going to love you, but those voices that matter, the one that's going to, rub your wounds when it's happening, the ones that understand and going to battle with you, how that feels. And so understand who's supporting you. And yeah, I've learned a long time ago, like you got to take criticism and praise the same with a grain of salt. You have to. And so you got to be balanced. It's got to be a balance there.
Right.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. We're saying, oh, well, you suck. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Right.
Yeah.
In one ear, out the other. In one ear, out the other.
Yeah. I used to see Priest had it down a pat. He used to say things. People was like, hey, can I get autograph? He's like, no, thank you. Priest, well, you suck, but thank you. I appreciate it. You see, I'm like, okay, just everything's just rolling off you. He's like, yeah, man, that's where you got to be. So
my favorites, man. Ugh, my very first jersey.
No, that was one of my very first favorites. Him and Dante Hall were like my first favorites for sure.
Yeah.
And you, Jason Dunn, of course.
So, thank you. I appreciate it. I helped you guys get to where they was at. I was holding them
That's
up.
right.
But those things like that are very important. I think, as fans, when y'all come to defensive players, and that's what I love about fans too, because sometimes it's like, wait a minute, hold on, you ain't gonna keep talking about my guy like this, right? If you're a real fan, be a real fan, right? Now it just seems like you're trying to be a troll about these things. And sometimes I love it when sometimes I remember some dude said something to me, and as Holly came to my defense, she was like, why are you treating Jason like that? And I was like, yeah, Holly. Like, yeah, go ahead. But I was just like, listen, just, let them play the way they want to play, right? So that's no big deal. So let's talk about this week coming up, okay? I think, like I said, everything y'all say is pretty spot on, but I'm listening to you, give y'all analysis of the game and what's coming in. Let's talk about what y'all think this game means to the Chiefs. You got the Seattle Seahawks who are looking to get to the playoffs this week, right? They need this win, and so they need this thing to get it churning to get to the next level. And so they're going to be playing the Chiefs. What do you think is going to be kind of our hardest thing to deal with, and what's going to be our greatest strength? I know it's kind of a loaded question, but you kind of give me a little thoughts on what y'all think about the game this week.
I'll just say, I think the biggest thing that we need to focus on this game, besides winning in the trenches, offensive and defensively, we've got to make sure that we are not turning the ball over again. If you look at all of our games this entire season, we've had 9 straight games with a turnover. And if you look at those games, especially the close ones that we've lost, or even with the Texans that we just played, there was such defining moments when we turned the ball over. And if we just could have kept moving down the field like we were, I feel like those games are not the close games that they were. So I really feel like, and I know the ladies will have some other things that I completely agree with, but the turnover differential, we've got to stop with those mental mistakes of like the fumbles and interceptions. I know Mahomes cleaned that up last week, but I feel like the turnover differential is huge right now. Like 9 straight games with a turnover is just not typical of an Andy Reid.
Like we said, that's Andy Reid's record, right? So that's kind of crazy. I just want to see them get cleaner. Like Chrissy said, just play cleaner. Like there's simple mistakes. Like we saw, I pointed out on our podcast yesterday, Darius Harris, like he was in on a red zone play and he just tugged at a jersey. And then of course you're going to get called for pass interference on that. So stuff like that. I just want to see those simple mistakes that you're going to get called for. Just fix those. You can't do that. You will probably get called for it, especially, I mean, we're watched under such a limelight that you're going to get called for those things. The Seahawks are going to bring their A+ game and it's going to be like -10 wind chill, right? Like it's going to be crazy cold. We're walking into an Arctic blast here in Kansas City. So I don't know what to expect exactly from the game, but I do think, like you said, Jason, like Seahawks are playing for a playoff spot. And we have clinched that, but I don't want us to let up on that because we still want that #1 seed. So I think both teams have a lot to play for, right?
We can't because our last 2 games are division opponents. And Denver, I think we gave them a little bit of a pep in their step. They played well last week. They played well against us, coming back like that. And then we've got the Raiders, and we know the Raiders hate us. So we don't have
fire under them right now. The Raiders got some fire under them right now.
They do. Yes, they do.
So I think for me, the girls have already spoke about offense and defense. For me, it's special teams. Like we got to clean it up. On special teams we're leaving way too many points on the board that are game time decisions. Like we've been in the overtime way too many times this year and we shouldn't have been. So for me, I would like to see that unit get it together, punter, kicker, holder. Like, I don't know what's happening in that room right now. I want them to go kumbaya and figure it out. So we're on the same page. But I think for me, that's been our biggest opportunity all year, not even just going into this week, but all year long. So I would really like to see them really figure it out before we go into the playoffs. Like Lexi said, we're going after the #1 seed, so we have to win out. We don't know what's going to happen this week with the Bills. You don't know what's going to happen with the Bengals. They might win out too. You never know what's going to happen over these next 3 weeks. So it's important that we do play clean, and then we play smart. And then, we just really come together as a unit to look great. So I think my biggest thing that I want to see is us just playing fast ball. I think every single week on the podcast, I'm like, offense and defense need to come out fast, they need to come out hot, and they need to run the room. So that's really what I want to see this week and going into the playoffs.
And I want to just add too, I feel like our 2 most complete games this season have been against the Buccaneers and the 49ers. Yeah. Those are my 2 games that I feel like we came out with a purpose. We played clean. Everyone had a game plan. Everyone followed it. Offense, defense, and special teams were clicking in those games. So I'm hoping for a game like that, especially for going into the playoffs. We only have 3 regular season games left, right? So
I can't believe it.
I can't either, but that's what I'm hoping is we get that type of play, because those games felt so complete to me, where you're doing the fun plays, but you're making them work, and Patrick's doing his crazy things. Defense is doing their crazy things. I feel like we can do it, and I know we're capable, and we've seen it a few times. So they just need to get out of their own heads. They just need to make those. Yeah.
Well, I think KT and Mikobe coming back, that's definitely going to make a difference on the offense.
Yes, definitely.
I mean, I'm also the same person, though, who feels like if they need to sit another week, I'm okay with that, because I think our offense can't do it without them. But I think them both coming back will make a big difference on what our offense looks like, too. So,
yeah. Do you guys think McCullough is going to play much this next week, or?
As it'll be a snap count. He is practicing, but I don't think they've activated him off IR yet. So,
yeah, I think we have enough firepower that it could hurt you if you bring it back too early.
Yeah.
One of the injuries guy, and McCole is somebody we definitely need going into the playoffs, right? I mean, we need his speed, and it's a looseness. We've seen that in the past few games, as far as not quite having that type of burst out there. And so everybody's like, man, I wish McCole was back. Like some of the jet sweeps, and nothing against the young guy, but he just don't have that burst like McCole has, right? And so I think, all 3 of y'all said something that was what I got the whole theme was kind of playing clean, right? So whether it was, you were talking about, the turnover, maybe the penalties, and then also to the special teams, all 3 phases is something I think has been addressed this past week. I remember, Andy came out, he was just talking about look, we need to get back to the fundamentals about protecting the football. And I've been saying on the podcast, look, that is our livelihood. That football is life to us in the NFL, right? I mean, you just can't do anything without it. And one thing you have to do is you got to protect it at all costs. And it's very important. On the flip side, on the defensive side, it's all about taking it away.
Yep.
Right? You got to create turnovers. And we was talking about Caitlin Saunders, what he was talking about. And, you know, I've been one of those. I love Caitlin Saunders. You know, he's had some amazing games this year.
Yeah.
And, yeah, batted balls at the line of scrimmage is immeasurable, but pressures and sacks is, to me, is one of the things that, you know, helps generate getting interceptions. Okay.
Right.
They could translate even more to bat, not taking away from the batted balls, because any batted ball and you got to move to the next play, perfect. Hey, did your job, let's move on, right? Trying to get them off the field. And then also, too, we was talking about the special teams. You know, you were saying that, Jody was saying, like, the special teams, another thing that needs to be desired. And y'all probably seen this on Twitter. I didn't even know anything about this. But I guess DC, Dustin Colquitt. I love DC. That's my man. I love Dustin. You know?
It has been a week of drama, I tell you.
Hey, what is it? It's
Wednesday.
The crazy part is you can see some fans with the Texans who are, what are they, 1-12 now? And they're like, hey, man, keep your head up, right? And the Chiefs 11-3, and it's like, dang, God, what are we doing?
I know.
Chaos.
Yeah. Like the ship is burning down. But I think all three of those phases need to be addressed. I think Tuba has said some things about maybe the transition. I used to be a special teams coach at Kentucky State when I was there. And I know the transition of getting the ball back there to the holder. So actually, when DC said this, I started looking a little bit like, oh, okay, wait a minute. Because I didn't really think that was the issue. It seemed like transition.
I didn't either. I agree.
And so, when you start looking at the tilt of the ball and stuff, maybe you start making you look into it a little bit more. You know how you start looking at things, you start like, uh-oh, wait a minute, maybe the problem. But I think it just presented something else, just making things even more messy. And that's why I was like, look, stay away from this. Even some of the former players, get away from that. In the room, and these guys understand, but don't give these things away to make it a problem, an issue. And I think sometimes we got to be careful on certain things. I try to hold kind of tight to my chest too, some of the things, because I don't want people blowing up. I see they're blowing up on things right now. I don't even want to bring some things up that people are like, oh my gosh, like I something else, right? But I know Marcus got some questions. I'm just kind of winging. I love talking to y'all. So.
We do too. It's great. We love talking football. It's fun.
I did a question that was not really football related, kind of, I guess. We're talking about the craziness going on with Chiefs Kingdom on Twitter. I had to go here. So what was your guys' first reaction when you saw the stuff about Chiefsaholic being the being Bonnie and Clyde bank robbery?
All on his own.
Wild.
And let's out on our chat.
Me and Lexi ended up somehow in a Twitter space on Monday.
So
over 1,000 people in it.
Oh my God.
So I had
people.
I think you guys.
Let's just drop the ball, Lexi. Let's drop it. Let's say what we did. Let's go.
Wait, what? What did we say?
In the chat, what we discovered. Should we do it?
You go.
Okay, well now you have me scared. But
I'm like, wait, which part? We've talked about a lot.
And got a little nuggets here, little tea.
Yeah, because I'm like, I don't know what they're talking about. I was like, group chat.
What we thought might have been his mugshot, because nobody really knew his whole name, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So we did digging, and we're like, guys, like let's Google and see if there is anything about armed robbery that happened in Tulsa. And so we oh my gosh, yeah. So there was a bank robbery in Tulsa with the Bixby police, and we were all talking about it. We are like, we are not dropping this story. We do not want to be
no.
But so kind of knew before the bomb dropped on Twitter. Like he kind of had an inside little scoop.
So here's the thing,
Inspector Gadget.
So So I was messaged by probably 10, 12 different people about posting on it, just like spreading the word on it. So I was like, you know what? He's been gone for a few days. Let me just like make a post, right? Like just out of the kindness of my heart. I was just trying to do the right thing. And within like 10 minutes of me and I like went to run an errand and within 10 minutes of me posting it, I come back to a DM of someone sending me his mugshot in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And so I send it to a bigger group chat with Jody, Chrissy, and a few other guys. And I'm like, you guys, I think this might be a way bigger thing than we even like have any idea.
I was like,
and
delete it now.
so I immediately just like delete everything I have said because I'm like, I don't want anything connected to this. I mean, within a few minutes, I'm reached out to for a news story. I'm like, I can't, no, like I'm not dealing with this. And so I'm, so I'm just like, I didn't realize how fast. I mean, I should have known how fast news can spread, but
yeah,
it definitely took me by a little bit of surprise. And I'm like, okay, I need to be a little bit more careful with what I say on here. But yeah, so we knew pretty quickly. And we're like, you know what, this is going to get out by like the end of the day. Christy's like doing her little FBI searching. She's like, oh wait, I found this article. Like we find this story is about to like
whole time
blow
I'm being
up.
like overprotective mom. I'm like, delete.
Yeah, Jody's like, what are you doing?
Oh wow.
So oh my gosh. So I have to say, Chiefsaholic, he actually came in like, so we all host some Twitter spaces every week on there just to get Chiefs Kingdom involved, just to talk football, whatever. And Chiefsaholic has actually come in some of our spaces on there. And he's always been really nice. And so I just never thought much of it. I just thought he was a nice guy that went to a lot of Chiefs games and made some crazy bets. Yeah. Didn't know. I mean, I've never met him in person. But yeah. So it got a little more chaotic than I had expected.
He can still be a nice guy, just robbing banks. Is that
yeah, right. Yeah. He probably is nice. And he was donating it to charity, right? So
yeah. You see, like every week, it's crazy because somebody had said the same thing. Like, if you're traveling to the Chiefs game, you're either rich or you got like an inheritance. So I forgot what it was.
Something.
I just assumed he was on the no-fly list because he was always driving.
He was always driving, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe he's on the no-fly list too now.
You know what? I actually told Marcus. Remember, Marcus, I told you this? Because when it's coming out, like, nobody heard from this guy, right? And I was like, Twitter, I'm like, oh, shoot. I was hoping he was in jail. I was. No, seriously. I was like, man, I hope. Like,
well, yeah.
He just, maybe got, like, called, a little snafu, a little traffic ticket. They take you in for a day. You just, and that's what threw him off. I had no idea it was to this magnitude. And when they were sitting there saying he's robbing banks, I was like, man, we got, like, this old Robin Hood. We got old
literally Robin Hood.
Yeah. There were so many. We were told that there were like players on their burner accounts in the space that we had that had like 1,000 people in it.
Wow.
Oh, we had one of the Pat McAfee show guys in our space came in.
Who was that?
It was
one of the Pat McAfee show guys.
Oh yeah.
Came
one
in.
of his assistants was in there. I was like, oh, okay, this is great. And then I saw Fox News posted it today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, great.
Unreal.
Let's get a documentary for sure on this story.
Mina Kimes talked about it on her podcast. Like, I mean, it's out there.
I'm embarrassed. Secondhand embarrassment.
Yeah.
I told my cousin we're gonna ship him over to the Raiders. He's a huge Raiders fan. He's like, nope, y'all can keep him.
Yeah.
Go anywhere.
Yeah, that's all right. That's crazy. That's crazy.
It's funny.
That's crazy right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew something was fishy with him. Yeah, obviously, like JD said, I hope that he was in jail. Obviously, everyone thought the alternative was, that something bad, really bad had happened to the guy.
Right.
So I guess that is it's better than the alternative. But Lance from the Spoken podcast, he wrote a whole tweet about it, and I didn't know what was going on with it. So I was like, I'll like the post, I'll like the tweet. I'm not going to retweet it. From our Chief Concerns account. And then about 30 minutes later, that's when all like the mugshot pictures and like the history of him and his family, all the stuff they've got into. I was like, ooh, I was like, oh, thank God I did not retweet that. And I went to Lance's page to see if that tweet was still there so I could unlike it. He'd already deleted the tweet.
I should have sent it to you guys because I was like, holy moly.
Amazing.
You never know what's going to happen in Chiefs Kingdom, right? Like all these super fans.
I'm like, we're almost to the end of the year, guys. Like we're almost there. Can we not have anything else dramatic happen?
And stop the drama, please.
Yeah, well, it's like you said, it's only Wednesday. We had the Dustin Colquitt thing. We got Colin Saunders, and then
My gosh.
like,
I'm like,
what's leading the show today? I don't know. There's so many options.
I think everybody just needs to kind of just back off a little bit from Twitter, enjoy the Christmas spirit of the season.
Right.
Enjoy your family, right? Let's get ready for this win against Seattle. Now, I'm going to say this. I think me and Marcus was kind of talking about this earlier. I think this Seattle team is a very dangerous team. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think the Chiefs take them lightly like they did last week against the Texans. But we're talking about Seattle, who had a very good showing against San Fran team. Okay. Just lost by 8 points. Yeah. So they're very capable. They have some very good, talented players on the team, good coach. So they're going to be coming and ready because they're playing for something. They're playing for something. And I think the guys understand that too. I think when you come in, especially like the monotony of doing things week in, week out, like team, the Texans don't really have anything to play for. You know that. It's just like, oh my gosh, we got to go down here and deal with this thing. And you're just ready to get on the plane and go home. But this one is going to be a little bit different. They're going to have to come to Arrowhead. It's going to be a different scene all the way together. It's going to be like a playoff game, especially for them. And so if the guys don't come ready, which I think they will be, I think it's being kind of harped and reiterated to the guys in the locker room, like, listen, we cannot escape what's going on. And especially all of the noise that they hear outside here, I think the guys got something to prove. And so especially like during this time, when we talk about this stretch before you get to the playoffs, it's very important that you're playing good ball. It's very important. And so what you want to do is you want to rain on one, a team's parade, which would be the Seattle, okay? But then start building on it. The things that you was working on before, like our run game. We started looking at that a little bit before. I'll talk to y'all about Pacheco. I know all of y'all talk about Pacheco every week. It's like, oh, Pacheco.
We love him.
Yeah. What's not to like, man? He's working hard as a rookie, man. So he's giving it his all. He is. But this game, I think, is still about establishing the run as much as possible to kind of get that thing going. Still generating some pressures on defense. We're going to have a couple of guys out because of sickness. I don't know if they'll play or not this week. I think Kalen Saunders was one of the guys who didn't practice, and maybe this flu was going around and guys are being affected by this. But we still need a good outing from the secondary, the linebackers, and that D line. And then we talked about, I know Jody was talking about the special teams. It's another thing. So now Kadarius Toney's going to be back. He's going to be handling more of the return duties and whatnot. And I think, to be honest with you, in my head, I thought the blocking was so bad last week. They're just not used to block for a guy who can make guys miss. It just seemed like that. I was just like, they're not used to a guy returning the football. But now they got to expose the guy back. You know what I mean? So I think they're going to emphasize that a little bit more. But I always, try to talk about the keys to victory. But this Seattle team, without a doubt, is going to be a dangerous team. And these guys got to have their heads on straight to be ready for this team. So thoughts? What do y'all think?
Well, especially now, Geno just got named as a Pro Bowler, right? So that gives him even more reason to come in here and win in Arrowhead. Like, I don't know how many Chiefs fans are going to show up because it's going to be freezing. So, it might not be as loud as Arrowhead normally is. Yeah. I definitely, as long as I don't know what the weather is necessarily supposed to do in Kansas City on Saturday, I think it's supposed to just be sunshine and negative cold, just sunshine and cold. So as long as there's nothing to rain or snow or anything, I think we should be able to go in there and have a great game. I think it's going to be a high scoring game.
Okay. Do you really? Okay.
I do. I think it's actually going to be a high scoring game. I think both sides of the ball are going to run, us and them. I think we're both going to run the ball very well. I predicted a high score on our podcast yesterday, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Lexi, Christy, what y'all think?
Yeah, I mean, I'll let you go, Christy. Go ahead.
They're like rock, paper, scissors.
Go ahead, Christy.
I really do think, I know Tyler Lockett's going to be out, but honestly, I don't even think that's going to make a difference in this game. And I don't say that in a bad way. It's just, we've played so many teams this year who are like, oh, they're missing their wide receivers. They're missing so-and-so. They're missing so-and-so. But those teams are playing really well with the next man up. And Kenneth Walker is running like a man on a mission right now. Run defense has been not as dominant as it was in the first half of the season. So I'm hoping if we can slow down Kenneth Walker, I think that is going to be our key to victory. I'm not worried about our offense. I'm not worried about our corners or our safeties. I'm more worried about slowing down Kenneth Walker and not letting the time of possession get swallowed up by Seattle running the ball. Yeah. That's my.
Yeah. And tackling, I didn't mention that tackling. We haven't been tackling well these last few games either. So we need to get on that too. I agree with you.
We have to get on that. I mean, I agree with both of them. I think he's been a big difference maker for them this season. I think for me, I guess surprise of the season. In general, like we were expecting them to win maybe 3 games, right? Like we looked at this game on the schedule at the beginning of the year and we're like, that'll be easy, like no big deal. But actually, I think the Rams, knock on wood, whatever, was maybe an easier game than the Seattle's game is going to be for us. So I think Geno Smith, I think he's going to go out there and show what he has, because they've kind of lost some games here recently. And we've actually had somewhat of an easy schedule here recently. Whatever you want to say to that is fine. You know, we had the Rams, the Broncos, the Texans. So I'm actually glad we have this game right now as we lead into the playoffs, because I think it's going to like reshape our guys a bit into playing those better teams again. I mean, they have some young players. Tariq Woolen is really good on their defense, and they have some good young guys. And I just hope we're not sleeping on it. I hope we go in with a good game plan, because we know Pete Carroll's a really great coach as well.
Amazing.
I mean, I hope we go in. I hope Spags throws some different looks at Geno. I hope Andy Reid has some creative play calling, Eric, the enemy. I mean, I hope they just kind of go in there with a really good plan. Why are you laughing at me? I do. I hope they go in with like a good.
No, I'm laughing at the secret playbook that everybody thinks is still.
No. Travis Kelce dismissed that today on his podcast, right? There's no secret playbook. So no, I know you're laughing.
He was listening to No.
He was. No. No, I just hope they come up with some fun, creative stuff. I hope to see our guys play really sharp. Like I said, I hope to see them make those tackles, not make the silly mistakes, clean up the turnovers, and play like you're at Arrowhead. I will say, though, like Seahawks are used to a loud stadium. Their stadium's probably second to ours, right, with noise. So they are used to that. So I don't really think that's going to affect them at all.
No.
Yeah, I think there's a manufacture with the acoustics. You know, I played up there, and that's always, you know, you can tell how the stadium's built, you know. But up there. But I think, you know, the thing is, and like y'all said, because as cold as y'all said it's going to be, I mean, running the football is going to be paramount. It's going to be absolutely key. And so we know that we got to do a much better job of tackling. But this is like when we're talking about the guys getting the running game going. And I've said this, our offensive line, I think, is built for power, not necessarily speed. You know, sometimes you could compromise the tackles. I know we get a lot of flack. The outside guys get a lot of flack, right? Because of the times we pass and, you know, they give up some pressures. But I think they do a much better job in the running game. I think these guys lean on guys. Those guys up front, man, I'm talking about, they just run straight through like a trial of those guys up front of the defensive line. So Trey Smith, Thuney, and Creed, Leonard Brown, Wiley, all those guys would just come off the football, man, and just go hit guys in the mouth. I think you do that this Sunday. It's going to send a good message to everybody. Like, look, these guys are serious. Not only the Chiefs can beat you, we know that we can beat everybody passing the football, but now running the football just gave us another weapon, another, you know, power that we just put into, you know what I'm saying, our helmet to say, like, look, these teams they're serious. And so we got to look at both sides of what they do as far as running and passing the ball being effective.
I really hope the defense just kind of picks up from where they left off when they were in overtime. It seems like last week's game, our overtime defense was completely different from the first 4 quarters that we saw. So I really they were on fire. Like game started, it was a whole different energy. So I really hope that they just continue to keep that momentum, because they were fired up in overtime. So I'm just like, keep that energy for 4 quarters, because they were balling. They came in overtime and were balling. So I really hope they keep that up.
This could be kind of a hot take, but I feel like our defense maybe feels like they've been a bit embarrassed because they let up the most points to the Broncos that they've scored the entire season, right? And then even amount of points with another team, I forget which team, to the Texans. So I feel like our defense kind of feels like they have something to prove as well, right? So I feel like maybe that's where Colin Saunders' tweets are coming from. Like,
I feel like he wouldn't have been out there going back and forth with Chiefs fans if the defense didn't feel that way.
Yeah.
Look, I'm going to be honest with you all. So, sometimes in the locker room, it is competition. It is offense against defense, right? Because we used to go through that. We used to go through all the time, like scoring points, and then the defense had to stop them. And they used to talk about our defense and not stopping anybody. We would score all these points. So I know Spags is probably talking to these guys like, look, they talking about the offense all the time. They put them in the paper. Nobody gives a crap about you guys. You know what I'm saying? You're terrible. Colin Saunders is on Twitter. You know, and so you're right. That is motivation to the defense. No doubt about it, right? I'm not saying that they're not playing within the confines of what, Andy wants them to do on the team.
Right.
But also, too, it's a challenge personally against the defense. And I think if they embody that, I think they will come out here ready to smash heads. And so I'm looking for that energy. I was asking for the energy. Where was it with the Bengals and all these past 3 weeks? We need to see energy.
Where was it?
Hey, come on now. We're gonna talk smack.
I was listening to your guys' podcast after that Bengals game, and I'm like, what? It's just so frustrating. Anyway, we'll move on from that. But
trying not to pass.
So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for now the answer. What's going to be the answer this week, right? You've been hearing all this different things. Everybody's on your neck about this and that. And so now let's answer the bell, okay? When you come out, you got to come in, and I'm talking about putting people on their backs. I'm talking about knocking pads off. When I seen the Texans last week, the Texans was hitting us.
Yeah.
They were very physical.
Yeah. Oh my, yes. I didn't even see the one. I seen on Twitter the dude came in on Patrick, then punched him in his mouth.
Oh,
Right. That's how you have to play. Look, get it a little grimy. I don't mind that at all. Dump somebody. The corner picked up JuJu and dumped him. I told my about it. I said, man, when I seen that tackle, you can tell these guys had a whole different mindset coming in. So we need to go out there and go hunt. We need to go out there, man, and get some of these Seahawks, put them on the grill in Kansas City, go on sauteing them up, man, and have a nice little meal. I'm ready for it. So I'm looking forward on Sunday to get this out of this team, especially for my defense. I'm looking
a nice little bird dinner.
Yes, that's right. That's right. So, Marcus.
No, that's it. Actually, I want to say to Jody's point, this game is actually the second. Vegas has as the second highest scoring game of the weekend. So
really,
the total points is 49 for this game. It's second behind Miami and Green Bay, which is 49.5. So
interesting.
High scoring affair.
Yeah, I think
they won't let us sports bet in Texas. I wish I could. It's my thing. So every time I go home, I do though.
She's gonna call me here in Kansas, make me place a bet for her.
Put this parlay in for me, real quick.
I'm gonna put a little $5 bet. I think I got a $5 bill in my wallet. I'm gonna put a little $5 bet on it. Okay,
there you go.
Go somewhere. Right? So that's gonna be for it. Okay.
Well, it was awesome having you guys on. So Kingdoms Queens, you guys can find that anywhere, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere you can get podcasts, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, JD and I, as JD said earlier, we love watching your show. We actually we'll send clips. We'll send clips about it. We're like different timestamps to check out what we watch your show and stuff to each other. So it was awesome having you on. And JD, I think you're gonna be making an appearance on Kingdoms Queens soon.
I hope so. I was going to ask him if I could come on and come and grace their show if they allow me to come on and just say something, say hi to them, and just talk about them. I just love this interaction, this conversation with you all, and I just thank you very much for everything y'all been doing, all the information y'all been giving, just all like your presence in the kingdom, and we needed voices for the queens to come out here and tell everybody how it is. Y'all do a great job, but thank you very much for coming on the show. I appreciate y'all so much. We're going to be interacting and talking sometime soon. So if y'all would love to have me, I'd love to be on your show. I'd love to come
We
out.
would absolutely 100% love to have you.
100%.
So,
We're the all-female podcast in Chiefs Kingdom, so we gotta represent. It's what we do.
We gotta put some of those men in their place sometimes, right? So
That's right.
that's how it goes.
That's right. That's what my daughters do to me. So they always constantly
right. Yeah.
They gotta hold you accountable, okay?
That's right. Yeah, I don't mind.
But we definitely will send you a message, Jason. We'll figure out a time to get you on. We would love to have you on our show for sure. So that would be awesome.
Well, it'd be my pleasure. Be my pleasure.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Looking forward to it.
For sure.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thanks, ladies. Thanks to Kingdom Queens. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys. We appreciate it.
Y'all have a good Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you all too.
Happy
holidays, guys. God bless to y'all.
Merry Christmas, happy holidays.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, guys. All right, so we're gonna go to our final topic here. So we kind of touched on it a little bit with the royalty of the kingdom at the Queens, but JD. So this weekend we're hosting the Seattle Seahawks, former AFC West foe, actually. Were you on the team at that point when Seattle was still part of the AFC West, JD, or was that disbanded by the time you got to Kansas City?
Yeah, no, I was on the team then.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, man, those Seattle. I remember traveling up there for a couple of times, man, playing those guys. Tough environment. And it was always, I had some sunny games and some was raining, of course, because Seattle is Seattle.
Yeah.
So they do up there.
Sleepless.
Yeah. But this is going to be a different element for them coming in Arrowhead in this cold weather. And so
yeah,
we're going to clip some wings. Man, this week.
Clip those wings and have those for some Christmas Eve, little Christmas Eve snack.
Yeah. Put them on your little tree or something, hang them up.
Make them an ornament.
It's like, oh, it's a nice little angel wing. Like, no, it's a Seahawk wing. That's what that is. Seahawk.
So we are a 10-point favorite. I mentioned with the Queens that we are also have the second highest game total for the weekend as far as Vegas says at 49. Second to the Green Bay Packers and Miami Dolphins game, which is 49.5. But so 10-point favorite right now, JD. Last week we were a 14-point favorite against Houston. Obviously did not cover that one since it went to overtime. But do you think we cover this weekend? And what's your prediction here?
So I'm looking at this game. These guys got to come out. They're going to try to do their best. I'm looking at 28-17. That's what I'm looking at.
Ooh, covering.
Yeah, 28-17. So, I think, because it's been a cold game, it's not a lot of catches. Catch a few balls, but it's going to be the ground game. Where's ground going to be? Now, I think we do a much better job of running the football, catching some balls, throwing the pass. So we got a much more prolific passer in Patrick Mahomes, of course, than Geno. But I think that's my prediction. First I had 28-14, but I'm just going to say 28-17, just kind of keep it close, maybe somewhere. But I think it's going to be them trying to get a score toward the end, maybe late, possibly. But we stopped the run game, man. I think it's going to be more than 28-14. But I'm going to stick with that original. I'm going to go 28-17. Okay.
And do you think our run game continues? Do you think because like we said a couple weeks ago, we were going to start to see more and more Jet McKinnon. And I think I don't know, is he the 1A or is he the 1B in this backfield? Because he's looking pretty damn good, man.
He's looking phenomenal, man. He's looking phenomenal. So I think it's going to be a good game for him, but I think Pacheco is going to be a game also. Just kind of run up the field and create some holes. It's going to be some tough sledding out there. And I think Pacheco's going to give you that. Jet is a little bit more kind of shifty type of dude. Catch the ball well out the backfield, but he'll make guys miss. And that's man, he's been past few weeks been phenomenal. So maybe looking for him, man. Maybe a couple more touchdowns this week. We'll see. It'll be great. Yeah,
I'm in some multiple semifinals this week in the fantasy, and I have him in two of them. So I hope he soars this week, man.
Yeah, I see him getting in, Jet. I see JuJu getting in.
Mhm.
Maybe Kelce.
Yeah, maybe. It's been a while for Kelce's. I don't think he hasn't had a touchdown in a few weeks.
Yeah. So JuJu, Kelce. The 28 points are going to come with JuJu, Kelce, Jet, and Pacheco. That's the 4. Yeah.
Okay.
Mark my words. That's the 4. That's where it's coming in at.
But let me ask you, I know that, like, we have McKinnon. McKinnon's, he has his certain set of downs. He's more a third down back, more the pass catching of the two. But how come we don't see more 2-back sets where both of them are back there in the gun? I feel like we would drive defenses crazy if we had both of them back there,
For the simple fact that when you're discussing the box and how many people you have to get out and pass, and pass routes, McKinnon makes sense because he's much of a better back catching the ball out the backfield than Pacheco. If you have both of those in, defensively, you can kind of like, okay, these two that's in, you can run the football. So it's like the matchup that you're looking at, as opposed to saying, you got a guy that could run the ball and can catch the ball at the backfield. Now you got 2 guys that can run the ball. But one guy can catch the ball at the backfield. You take another guy and he can really only run, right? He's not really a receiver. So that's why. So it'll hurt you when you have like 4 receivers out and one guy that can run the football.
Right.
You got one guy that could actually do both. So now you got 5 receivers in a route. So if that makes sense, if I'm making any sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because then if you do it, then you only like having 3 receivers in a back that can catch the ball out the backfield and only a runner, right? So kind of give you 3 receivers, kind of receiver in the back.
Right. So yeah, I guess in that, like, if you ever going to do a 2-back set, it would be probably when CH is healthy to have CH and McKinnon in the backfield, because both those guys can catch and run out of the backfield.
Yes, exactly. There you go. Right.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Hope I explained it well. I was just like, okay, so you want more capable guys receiving, catching the ball off the backfield.
Right. Yeah, you don't want a one-dimensional guy, because the defense can say, okay, they're only going to run with him, so we can kind of, we don't have to hit him.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, I got you. I got the coach speak.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
All right, JD. Before we go, I know it's Christmas weekend, and we'll see each other on Christmas Eve. But anything? Are you? Because on my other podcast, we talked about this with Eric Snow. We asked. It was a Tuesday we had our show, but obviously it's Wednesday. Are you? Because I know you're more of. You said you're more of a giver in the holidays and stuff.
Yeah.
When it comes to Christmas gifts and wrapping, are you are you good at wrapping presents, or are you more of a gift bag type, like this guy over here?
I don't even like gift bags. I just give you the gift. Hey,
really?
There you go. Yeah. I don't know. I put a bow on it. There you go. There you have to guess what it is. There it is. Right? What you wanted. So, I think the bags, I'm going to get into that. I think that's a waste of money sometimes. I'm like, well, I like them because then we got bags to use. Yeah. Hey, this is a nice bag. Like, ooh, where you get this bag? It was gifted to us.
It's a gift. That's a part of the gift that comes with it.
Yeah. So
what's funny about it? So I'm more of a gift bag guy. I can't wrap anything. Actually, a couple weeks ago when I was wrapping gifts, my girlfriend actually rewrapped 2 of the gifts that I had, and I guess it's more of you have children, so usually the youngest usually tries their best at something, like even though they know someone's going to kind of redo their work for them, like I'll do my best shot at it. Like if I have to clean up something, I'll give it a little go, but usually my work gets double upped on because they don't think I'm good at it. But anyway, my wrapping skills aren't good at all, and apparently I had to rewrap stuff. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go get some gift bags. And my family, my mom collects every year. She always collects the gift bags. So there's like 1 million gift bags at my parents' house. So I just went over to parents' house and put some of those items in that gift bag.
Dude, I'll tell you what, and I'm just thinking about it. Every time you wrap presents, unwrapping them is always a mess. It's just a mess. And you got to take the paper, and it's like, man, you did all of that time wrapping presents for them just to tear into it. Not even appreciate, like, oh, this looks nice. It just, I'm just like, oh, no, it's not good.
looks nice, and then the destruction like right afterwards. Yeah, thinking about that, yeah, it is a total waste of time.
Yeah, he just crying. He looking at it like, man, I took forever to wrap his present. So he just ran through it in 2 seconds. Yeah, so.
So JD is not a rapper, and neither am I. So you and I are in the same boat in that one.
Hey, brother, look, I'll wrap you with hugs. That's what I'll get. Wrap you with love. That's what that will be.
That's a good kind of rapping right there.
Yes, it is. Just say with our segment, man, I just want to tell everybody, have a wonderful holiday. Merry Christmas. Peace and blessings to everybody out there in Chiefs Kingdom. One's called Chiefs Concern. Love your family. Especially now, there's going to be people that will be without their family. Love them up too. And don't take anything for granted any of the time. Enjoy yourself. Love one another for this day.
I echo those thoughts there. And we wish everybody from Chief Concerns, we wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. And we'll see you guys right after the 1 o'clock on Christmas Eve. A quick show because it's Christmas Eve. Everybody wants to be with family, and plus it's game day on Saturday, so it's semifinals week of fantasy too. So we're gonna do a quick little Chief Concerns post game show and get right back to the games for the 4 o'clock. So we'll see you guys Saturday after the game.
Merry Christmas, y'all.
Merry Christmas. Hi everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.